Hello everyone, this is Tenguru, and welcome back to another boss drawing from Dark Souls 3. We defeated the giant Yorm in the last episode, and we are down to our final Lord of Cinder. As Yorm fell, we were warped out of the profane capital and back to the cathedral in Lothric, where we now face the dying priestess, Emma. With her last breath, she pleads with us to save the soul of Prince Lothric, and tell him he must accept his duty as a Lord of Cinder. We are left with the Basin of Vows, which was used on old ceremonies in which the Knights of Lothric would take their vows. Before we have the opportunity to place it on the altar, however, we are greeted by another emissary of Pontiff Sullivan, the dancer of the Boreal Valley. Even though he was defeated, he lives on through his twisted outriders. The dancer is a distant daughter of the old royal family and a direct descendant of Lord Gwyn. It is most likely that she was one of the daughters of Guinevere, as her soul can be traded in for one of the miracles of Guinevere, soothing sunlight. When Pontiff Sullivan took control, he bestowed a double-slashing sword upon her, and ordered her to serve first as a dancer and later as an outrider knight, which was the equivalent of exile. Her paired enchanted swords, symbolic of the dancer's vows, are enchanted with dark magic in the right hand and fire in the left, mirroring the Pontiff's own blades. She was also given one of Pontiff's black-eyed rings that eventually transformed her into a beastly creature, fusing her armor to her own hide. Now she is all that stands between us and the entrance to the inner sanctums of Lothric. When the fight with the dancer starts, she is only holding one blade in her left hand. In this phase of the fight, it's best to wait for her combos to finish and move in and out for some quick hits here and there. The first half isn't too bad, just watch out for her grab attack. At half health, the dancer pulls out its second sword and loses the grab attack. The biggest threat here will be getting caught in its spinning windmill attack. The dancer will follow you for quite a while with it, and it can easily kill you if you get caught in it early on. You can get lucky if you are on the side or behind the dancer, as a lot of her swiping attacks will go over your head. Use this to your advantage, and try to hang out there when she isn't spinning. The hardest part of this drawing was definitely getting the veil to look right. I tried to focus on getting a solid basic shape for it, with the plan of making it really pop with some blending modes at the end of the drawing. I knew it was something that would be tricky to capture, so I didn't want to get too bogged down on it early on. I know for me, it's a lot easier to draw armor, so I usually try to detail that first. Once that's done, I can go back in and fill the areas that might require a little more work or experimenting. Usually by that time, I'll have warmed up enough so that it'll be a lot faster and precise. I highly recommend for those looking to improve their drawing skills to do the same. Start with your comfort areas, and then branch off into the more difficult ones. Taking on something difficult too early can be frustrating, and often can lead to you giving up on the drawing altogether. A lot of people have trouble drawing faces, so perhaps wait until the end and try to work out the details on that last, when you've warmed up and you feel more comfortable with your drawing. If the drawing is a lot further along, you're more likely to put in that last bit of detail needed to knock it out of the park. Let's talk a bit about what the dancer is doing here at this location. She seems to have been keeping watch on Emma, perhaps waiting to stop any chosen by her from entering into Lothric. It even looks like Emma might have been killed by the dancer, perhaps in an attempt to draw our character out, or to eliminate the gatekeeper of the castle altogether. When we fought with Vort, he was guarding the exit off the high wall of Lothric, likely sent there by the Pontiff, to keep the chosen ash from reaching any of those Lords of Cinder. It is also stated that Vort is never far from the dancer, which makes me wonder if they had some connection to each other before Sullivan drove them mad and exiled them. Vort is considerably weaker than the dancer, and there is no mention of him being one of the royal family, but he may have been someone in service of the family or a close friend. Not sure if there will ever be more information on what their relationship was, but it is interesting to think about nonetheless. Even though we are fighting the dancer in the later half, it is possible to trigger the fight early by killing Emma yourself once you reach the cathedral. Doing so gives you access to some great items early on, but you will definitely have a tough time getting past her. Depending on your level, most of her attacks will kill you in 1 or 2 hits. You can come back here at any time, so I find it is best to do a little exploring beyond Vort before coming back and trying to finish her early. You will still get access to some good items early on, and it makes the fight a lot less brutal. If you are looking for a challenge, however, then just dive right in. For our setup, I had a lot of requests for the Pontiff Knight armor that we would have picked up in Irithyll. This armor belonged to the knights that remained in the city and roamed the streets, serving as the eyes of Pontiff Sullivan. The golden crowns they wore symbolized those with authority to communicate directly with the Pontiff. For our weapons, many of you wanted something that would give us some fancy footwork to match those of the dancer. I decided to go with the Old Wolf curved sword. This curved greatsword has some stylish moves through its weapon skill, and still fits well with the look of the armor. I also really like the curved blade for the circular composition I was trying to create. In the end, I think it really goes nicely with the flow of the drawing and helps convey the dance of death we are having with the boss. Once I get everything in place, I will be able to go back in and put in the finishing touches that are really going to make everything pop. Using some different blending modes on my brush, I can really make the colors of the veil and the fire effects really pop off the screen. No matter how much time I spend on the rest of the drawing, it really comes down to these finishing touches to really bring the drawing to life. With the dancer defeated and the path to Lothric Castle opened up, we are now presented with the first split path we've had in a while. We have the option to either ascend Lothric Castle or travel down into the consumed King's Garden. Since heading into Lothric Castle is the actual way to proceed, I think I will head into what's left of the King's Gardens and see what remains of the former ruler of Lothric. If anyone has any suggestions for what they would like to see used in the fight against Osiris, please let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks so much for watching my video, and feel free to check out more of my content here on this channel. Leave a like to help support this series, and I hope to see you in the next video.